gold. Our 18-hole Nicklaus design, award-winning golf course and clubhouse will leave you green with envy. We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
Oh man, from a rainy Johannesburg. Good day and welcome to Real Talk with Anele. A massive thank you to the Afternoon Express team. They will be back tomorrow between 4 and 5. My guest today has been the frontman of one of South Africa's biggest rock bands to go international, the Parlotones. His distinct voice, unique makeup, and cool demeanor have served him well as an accountant turned entertainer, now husband and father. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Kahn Morbee. You're like, who's that? Yeah, because we all simply know him as Kahn. Welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you, good to be here.
So every time I run into musicians, I get an urge to sing one of their songs to them. So I'm gonna go for it now.
Okay.
Don't leave me hanging.
I won't.
I get so nervous, I stutter. Thank you, there we go, you didn't leave me hanging. So now, when people run into you, right, which song are they mostly doing what I just did to?
It's a couple.
Good.
Some people go, I like that song, woo, and they do the high part, giant mistake.
Oh, giant mistake,
Yeah.
gigantic.
Yeah.
Oh, that song was so sad, my word, yes?
It was quite funny actually. I was at a garage once, and the lady at the teller said, I really love that song of yours, but she sang the melody of Push Me to the Floor, but she was like, kiss me through the phone.
Oh,
and I was like, you should merge two songs.
You're just like, I think that's Soldier Boy's Kiss Me Through the Phone,
Yeah, to the melody
alongside Parlotones. But you know what, we'll take it. But I mean, it's all love, right? It's basically
No, of course,
people.
yes, yeah. They're connecting the dots somehow.
So when you said, I watched an interview, you fantasize as a kid. You just fantasize about being a musician. You know, not necessarily famous or be like a rock star. You just wanted to know that you could do music. What fueled that? Who was keeping that dream alive around you as a kid?
Yeah, I think I just was, lucky or privileged to be born into a family, and it's a collective family. I'm talking extended cousins and uncles and aunts that all loved music. Some of them played instruments, some just loved it. I mean, I even remember there used to be this thing kind of around New Year's Day or New Year's Eve where they would predict the top 100 songs of the year, and we would all go around and take bets and kind of sing along. Even the top 40 was an exciting thing to listen to on a Sunday and try and guess which song was going to get to number one.
We used to do that.
Yeah, so it was just always, music was always around me. I was raised by my gran, who was very religious, and as a result, it meant that I was kind of reared in the church.
And you were singing in the church as well?
Yes.
As many musicians start in the church as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
you were raised by your gran, but your mom gave you your name, Kahn, as her protest to apartheid.
Yes.
Shout out to your mom.
It was very effective.
Of course it was. You and I are sitting here years later. You know what I'm saying?
It was all because of that.
It was all because of that, and a few marches. So listen, did she dress you up like in the Zulu regalia? Because I know people like that, they're extremists.
No, not at all.
Okay, so all she did was, your name is Kahn.
Exactly.
And
then gave me to my gran.
And she was like, this is you. And you and your gran had a very close relationship because she was, the person you knew.
Well, later on in life, I had a close relationship with my gran, and I appreciated, obviously, the fact that she'd raised me. But obviously, growing up, like any kid who doesn't like rules,
of course.
I guess we had a very, we butted heads a lot. But yeah, I think as you mature and you reflect on life, you realize how important and what an impact she actually had on my life. But yeah, growing up, I wouldn't say we were close. I think we were arch enemies for a while.
But you know what it is? I think it's all love at the end.
No, of course, exactly, yeah.
It is all love
and respect. There was always love and respect, but there was also a lot of conflict.
Good. Considering your name is Kahn, let's say, this rock thing doesn't work out. Start a Mia, maybe?
Starter what?
Skatamia, the Zulu, like Zulu.
Oh.
You know, like Ladysmith Black Mambazo?
Yes, yeah.
I think you should give that a...
Yeah, well, maybe I can join them and ask them. Yeah, I'm used to wearing a uniform on stage. Maybe they'll let me.
So you said you struggled to get into bands. That's why you just decided you're going to start your own. Why did you struggle? Were you bad?
I think I just, you know, when bands were becoming popular when I was at school, there was a certain style of music that was popular, and it was kind
Punk.
of... It was either punk
Yeah.
or grunge or metal.
Yeah, very hard.
Yes.
Yes.
And this aggressive voice.
Yeah.
And I even tried to sing like that, but it just didn't come out. I just have a very sore voice the next day.
Yeah.
I actually sounded more like a girl.
An angry girl, naturally.
Yeah. So they were just like, no, it's not our cup of tea. And then I was like, okay, well, you know, I can't handle all this rejection. I'm going to start my own band.
And
then they can't fire me.
So then were you the kid in high school who was constantly performing at the, you know, the cultural evenings and the cultural week, and let's say the regional inspectors there, so Kahn, quickly go sing on stage?
Not. I was very much involved in acting at school, so I'd often, because I loved sports as well, so I'd run from the rugby field, and then I'd kind of go to, because drama classes would always happen at night, and then I'd go and act, and then and then same thing at when I was at Ra, it would be, I played soccer for the university, then I'd go from the soccer field, quickly go to the production house, and then there was a lot of musicals, and I would act in the musicals.
So you could have been a professional soccer player?
I doubt it. Yeah,
A reserve.
it was a fantasy I harbored as well, mainly for the wallet.
You just saw David Beckham's like pay. You like, they paid him how much? That's what I'll do.
Yeah, actually, I think it was just I harbored a desire for a six-pack, and all soccer players seem to have a six-pack.
And good inner thighs. Yeah. It's like they just like, and they all have brackets. How come no soccer players have knock knees?
That's true, yeah.
Do you realize it?
Maybe it's a requirement.
And also maybe I'm bitter because I've got knock knees. So when did you first pick up your first guitar?
Probably at about 14.
That early.
Yeah, my gran bought me a guitar for my birthday. And
do you know how to play it immediately, or do you have to go for lessons?
No, I went for lessons initially, but you know, I didn't like the songs or the. Again, it was that thing.
Teenage angst.
Well, I think it's what most teenagers go through today. You want to be able to play like that, and you like, she's teaching me this is the day and this is boring. I want to play Bon Jovi or whatever it was. I was
Oasis,
into.
or REM, or The Cure.
How'd I play that? And that's actually why I started writing songs, because I was actually a frustrated guitarist. I wasn't good enough to play these complicated chords. I knew 3, and then I would just go down a rabbit hole and write 100 songs with those 3 chords. And I actually realized that was my main passion.
Was writing.
Was writing.
So your first band, am I correct in saying it was named Crayon?
Yes. Which is the same guys.
Same guys, yes.
Yeah.
So, you know Maroon 5 was called Kera's Flowers?
I didn't, eh?
Yeah, they were called Kera's Flowers, and then before they made it big, somebody said, guys, listen.
You got to change that name.
Let's bury Kera's Flowers. Let's go with Maroon 5. So it's Crayon. Were there any names between Crayon and the Parlotones?
Yeah, for a brief stage, we were called Soapbox Derby, between Crayon and the Parlotones.
Soapbox Derby?
Yeah. So Crayon was, well, we thought, you know, Crayon's your first creative tool.
And they're colorful.
Yeah.
I'm colorful.
Yeah, there we go. But all our friends were mocking us, saying, what, are you going to be like exclusive at kids' parties? Crayon. And we're like, okay, maybe we should change the name.
All right. And then we came to Soapbox Opera and then into the Parlotones.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's take a quick ad break. Listen, there's thunder happening here. Now, in my culture, it means that it's a good day. We have Kahn, obviously it's a good day. On the other side of it, we get to learn more about Kahn Morbee. Don't forget to enter our at-home competition, where you can stand a chance to win yourself a lovely 5,000 rands to spend at any at-home store near you. Get onto our social media pages and enter. We'll be back after this quick ad break. And welcome back to Real Talk with me, Anele. My guest today is Kahn Morbee, a former frontman of the multi-platinum selling, award-winning pop rock band, the Parlotones. Now he simply goes by Kahn. Now we're going to touch on this later, but are you not with the Parlotones anymore?
No, I am. I was going to correct you. It's not former.
Okay, still there,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
You are
So
basically
you know, like
one
you do
foot here.
94/7 and you do Real Talk? Same thing.
You know how you do Kahn, the
And
voice,
and the
the
Parlotones.
Parlotones?
Yes.
Same thing. That's 3 for you, 2 for me. I see you. I see you. So let's go back to you studying BCom at RAU, which is now UJ, right?
Yes, yeah.
What kind of a student were you? Were you, you know, just getting by? Because you did graduate.
Yes.
Thank you for that. One of us had to. You know, were you like getting by because you know that your passion is singing and writing, or were you acing it?
Well, I'll tell you the type of student I was. I actually had no clue what I wanted to study. And I went, it was kind of a whole bunch of friends that went there, and we were kind of deciding what to study. And a friend of mine said, BCom Communications, you get to do advertising and all these kind of things. I said, that's cool. Started off BCom. And then I was like, oh man, you got all these subjects like stats and
Accounting.
Yeah, and accounting.
Wasn't ecos in there as well?
Yeah, economics. So then I was like, oh, I really don't want to do that. But I like English and I like the advertising side. So then I flipped to BA Communications.
Okay.
And I finished it off as a BA Communications. I did the bare minimum to kind of just get through, and I got it. And actually, I never knew at that stage that you could do a degree in music. Had I known,
You would have just gone to do that.
yeah. So, I mean, look, all paths lead to some sort of destination anyway. But, you know, I think when it came to academics, I thrived in the things that I liked. And then,
Which is writing.
yeah, so
which is what
I
you
enjoyed
do.
English, but aspects of it. If I didn't, you know, I guess most of my academic life, I was a straight C student.
So you weren't enjoying Ulysses.
No,
You know
no.
Ulysses, that big ass
That
book
thing,
that's
yeah.
like this. You're just like,
Yeah.
jeepers.
I'm
How
like
many
that.
years do I have? So now, what I marvel when I think of the Parlotones, and I mean, when I started on campus radio, you guys were, you know, also, you know, on the trajectory to become the Parlotones that we knew, is that for a while, all of you, all 4 of you, were still doing your 9 to 5s whilst you were gigging. So there'd be times when you'd arrive from Bloemfontein at 5 in the morning doing a gig there and, you know, shower just to, you know, go to work where you were a banker. So how long did you ride both, you know, both trains before you decided to pick one?
Yeah, well, I mean, so we started in '98 when I was at varsity, and then maybe it was only in about 2008, 2009 that I probably went full-time
Whoa,
musician.
10 years, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So it was studying for a while, and then obviously juggling day job and that's why most of the day jobs that I did were in sales. You know, even the job at the bank was selling financial products. So I was flexible with my time. You know, there was no one going, hey, you need to be at 8 o'clock and leave at 5.
Yes, and when you're in sales, you can be on the road a lot,
Exactly.
which means you could be sleeping a lot.
Yeah, or catching
Like,
up on
yeah,
sleep.
I'm just
or-
about to see a client. I see you. So when you did leave the job at the bank, whose opinion mattered the most about that big decision? Because it's a really big decision to say, I'm going to give up, you know, hearing an SMS come in on the 25th of every month saying, here's money, it's in your bank account.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, I mean, it was my choice. I think what I realized is that I'd garnered enough skill and enough knowledge in the realm of the corporate existence to fall back on it
Whenever you need to.
But this, I had a chance now to give it a good go. That's, you know, when I was at that
Yeah.
crossroads. And it meant taking a huge salary
Cut?
cut.
Go from drinking whiskey to beer.
Yeah. The result's always the same.
There's a Xhosa saying, no, it's actually Zulu, yonke insipho iyawasha, meaning all soap washes.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Any soap you use, it's the same.
Beer, whiskey.
Yeah. So, but whose opinion mattered? Like, who were you bouncing it off? Was it Candy, because you were dating her already, I believe then? Was it your family? Was it the band itself? Who were you bouncing such a decision off? Because that's not something you make by yourself.
No, ultimately you do. Ultimately, you make the decision. You know, before I even go and
run it by
bounce,
someone.
I've already actually decided. And I guess if you met with a reaction that's like wah, but you never really met with that reaction because I've done the argument or the conversation internally.
And to whoever's close to you watching, they've seen how much you've put into, you know, this path that you want to take, that they have no doubt that it's going to work.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and luckily it did. But even if it hadn't, you know.
You'd be selling us some bank products right now.
Exactly.
You'd be here for a different reason.
Yeah.
So, do you have an investment plan? Call Kahn Morbee for me to add those zeros to the back of your bank account. So,
Sometimes in front of.
then you wouldn't be a good banker.
No, just joking.
You're not the type we want there. So, I was reading that you know, growing up, bands that inspired you. I touched on a few earlier. REM, The Cure, In Excess. There was another one.
Radiohead,
yes.
The Smiths.
The Smiths. So now, when did you ever flirt with the line where you were so inspired by the sounds that you liked that you were almost imitating them?
I think, and I've used this expression often, you do in the beginning.
Yeah.
We all imitate.
Even us.
Yeah, no. Well,
I tried to beat Gareth Cliff and DJ Fresh at once. It was disastrous.
But I think that's a good thing. If you imitate from a variety of bands or a variety of inspiration, you're bound to find your uniqueness in the middle of all of that. And of course, no man's an island. You are going to be a product of all that imitation. But there's that classic saying from that trumpeter, at first we imitate, or you assimilate, imitate, and then you innovate.
Oh, wow.
So
say that again, please.
Assimilate
Okay,
all the
take it
stuff
all
that you
in.
love.
Yeah.
Then you imitate, you copy them, and then you innovate. So that's just how you learn. I mean, even I've been watching my son now grow up, and he's only 20 months old, but they do the same thing. They they're just soaking it all in. They're watching
do everything you do.
and then they're imitating you. So sometimes with swear words. And eventually, you know, his own personality will come through with all that information that he's soaked in, I hope.
So when you reached the level where you were innovating, is that when, because I know you struggled to get your songs on radio initially, would you say that when you started to innovate and you were past the imitate stage, that's when radio came on board and said, hey, we like you guys?
Yeah, and I think a bit of both. I think initially, you know, we were just writing whatever felt cool to us, and because we were mainly imitating the bands that we liked, who actually weren't that popular on radio. They were in various pockets of the world. And then what we realized is that in order to get some radio play, we had to kind of take that sound that we had assimilated.
Add your spice into it.
Yeah, and be innovative in a way that sonically we weren't going to compromise who we are, but we were going to compromise enough to make it more commercially appealable or appealing. And I guess that's where, you know, that's the kind of, I think that's the crossroads any creative person has to make, is how do you find the meeting point between being truly artistic, but also being commercially viable.
And how do you know you're there as well? Because you could miss this, you know that.
No,
right?
you can completely,
miss it.
it can be so blatantly obvious that you're just trying to write a commercial song that people tune it out.
Yeah.
There must be a little bit of that edge.
All right. I'm going to ask you a question you answered when we come back from the ad break. Where were you the first time you heard your song on radio, and who were you with? We'll continue the conversation with Kahn after the break. Join in on the conversation on Twitter as well, at Real Talk on 3. The stage is yours. Welcome back. If you're only tuning in now, I mean, guys, come on now, come on. What is this? what is this? We are live and in your homes from 5 until 6, Monday to Friday on SABC3. Today on the couch, I'm with rockstar. I'm supposed to do this when I say rockstar. I'm with rockstar, Kahn Morbee. So listen, the Parlotones and I maintain two things that kind of, for me personally, was the first time I saw and I liked. And maybe this was your BCom, BA communications coming through, is you branded yourself so well. I think it was when the robot thing came through and the way you guys would dress. So for instance, I didn't have to see the four of you to know that this is a Parlotone something. It's a letter from the Parlotones. It's a cup from the Parlotones. And another thing was the endorsements that you guys picked and, you know, you went through. When that entire phase was happening, did you not fear that you could slip over, you know, from being well branded and well endorsed to just becoming a billboard?
I guess we didn't, all of those things, we didn't actually really think about them. It wasn't like I'd even look back at my textbooks. I think maybe some of that stuff sunk in. But all of it was really just an experiment. You know, from using the megaphone as a logo, which actually was, again, imitating. We knew the Rolling Stones had that tongue. And we were like, that's a cool idea. Let's create an identity that people will associate with us, and that's where the megaphone came with. And then the makeup was also just happened as a result of playing a birthday party for Cosmopolitan magazine.
His 21st birthday, hey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was a dress up, and there we put on makeup because there was a makeup artist that said, hey guys, you want to put some makeup on? We're like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Give her 7 other tequila. Do it. And then watched the movie called Clockwork Orange, where we kind of, again, nicked the idea. And all those things just became sort of associated with us. And I think when a lot of those endorsements happened, we probably did cross the line. I think not because we embrace them. I think it's important in the new age to get any help you can.
This is true.
To help your career along. I think it just mustn't be, there mustn't be a disconnect.
Between your art?
Yeah, or a disconnect with who you are. And, you know, if I do not necessarily believe in the ethos of fast food, you know, perhaps I shouldn't be using that as an endorsement because it's not in line. But obviously, if I use technology,
then go with it.
Then there's no, I don't see any problem. It's something I would have embraced anyway.
I hear what you're saying, but is that not difficult to stick with your beliefs of, say, fast food when you're in a band with 4 people? Let's say you're the only one and then the other 3 are like, you bring that chicken.
No, sure, well then that's fine. Then we do it as a collective and we arrive at a decision. And you know, we can't undo it. But I do think it was the first time we actually got a real kind of backlash. And there was this thing prior to that. I mean, it really has changed that you were seen as selling out or... But
also because you were a rock band. If a hip-hop guy came through and got the fried chicken, we would be out there on videos, be like... Because rock bands, there's like this, you know, you have to be hurting. And like there's like this, vibe. Whereas hip-hop is like, bring on the chicken. Bring on the fries.
So again, I'm like, bring it on. If it's in accordance with my lifestyle.
But in hindsight, because when you were taking all the endorsements, I was like, oh, that's great, because also I felt like you were spearheading. And once that door's open, it's open, then other acts can come through and benefit from groundbreaking deals like yours. So, but then in hindsight, when you guys moved overseas, I was like, okay, that makes sense. So they've got all this money, because if you're gonna move overseas, you need to have money.
You need lots of money.
You need lots of money. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, the end justifies the means.
Sure.
Were you in that also realm of thought?
Well, I mean, again, it wasn't that...
well thought out.
Yes.
Am I giving you too much credit?
Yeah, you're giving too much credit. I wish we were that strategic. You can't be, actually. You know, I think you do what you think is right at the time. And sometimes you land on something by accident that works. Much like writing a song. It's... you know, obviously you're thinking about ideas all the time and you're experimenting with ideas. I'd say none of them don't work.
But the one that does.
Yes. Yeah, and then you're stuck with it.
Hey.
You know, like the makeup.
Did you see what happened? I did this and then thunder happened. Okay, sorry.
You've got powers. So, yeah, you know, And I think that applies to anything in life. I think as long as you keep trying stuff,
Yeah.
some things are going to work, some things aren't. Some things are going to work so well that everyone sees it and then they have a reaction.
Like the So, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys were big in Germany. You had a following in Germany. I've been to a gig. I emceed your guys' gig in the UK. You were quite big there as well. I mean, you did like the venues, a few of them. Why move to the States when your following is so much greater in the UK and Europe?
Well, you know, there was quite a cool trajectory there because we'd done a tour with a really big band called Blue October.
Hurt me.
Hate me
Hate
today.
me.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah.
And so we had, as a result of that, picked up quite a following. And I don't know, you know, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things. It wasn't the right decision, to be honest.
Okay.
And I now know that you don't have to be geographically based in a country in order to tour
excel there.
Yeah. And by doing that, we actually lost a bit of traction in
South Africa.
Yeah, and Europe and
Okay.
the UK. So, but it's all good. We still have those fan bases, and we still do tour there.
Yeah.
And you know, we've realized that despite all the chaos that exists in our land,
Yeah.
there's no other place we'd rather live. I mean, there's some wonderful places around the world, and we've had some amazing experiences, but there really is no place like home.
Okay, Dorothy. Click your shoes. You once
Click those
said
heels.
the thing about a vibe at a gig is that you could get the best vibe from 50 people who make it feel like there's 1,000 of them, right? In your mind, where has the best gig for you ever been? Be it 2 people, 10 people, the World Cup?
Look, that's one. The World Cup was was definitely one a memory that I'll forever cherish. And I've said this many times. And I think the reason I cherish it is because it was never in my radar. You know, you have all these rock and roll dreams and aspirations, but I would never have thought that, A, the World Cup would even come here.
Right.
And that we would somehow be performing at a kickoff concert, you know, some weird way representing our country, being beamed to billions of people. I could never have imagined that.
It's easily the biggest sporting event in the world, and you got to perform there.
Yeah, exactly. So a few bands, even the superstar bands, can ever claim that they.
Even R. Kelly was like, "This is it.
This is it. I can retire."
So, from the World Cup, let's take it back to the question I asked you. Where were you the first time you heard your song on radio?
Well, I'll say there's a few key moments for us.
Okay.
Okay, so when we first started the band and we first started gigging, we'd get so excited about just hearing our name on radio, we'd tape this thing called the gig guide. In those days, it was like
I remember. Press both the play and the record.
Yeah. And then Parlotones would be playing at the Roxy Rhythm Bar. We're like, whoo! Play it back. Hey! So chuffed.
Look, Mom, I'm big.
Yeah. And then there was another moment, which was quite funny. Barney Simon, when he was still at
5.
5 of him.
Radio 5.
We just call it 5. I don't know what it was called.
Yeah,
5.
it was Radio 5.
So he used to do like feature new SA bands, and he'd play their demos, and he'd have this guy that would actually bring the demos to him, Simon Folds, and they played our stuff, and Barney was like, "Oh man, it's great to hear a female vocalist on the scene again." And Simon Folds was like, "No, it's actually a guy. It's actually a guy."
It's Kahn.
Yeah, so it obviously sounded like a girl. And then, I think the next time was when I think Here Comes the Man started getting a lot of play. And I would hear it on radio, and it actually always sounded weird. It was always weird to hear
yourself.
Yeah, your voice, as you know.
You sound like a girl.
No. But it sounds different internally than when you hear it externally. And then your friends would just either phone you, SMS you, "Hey, you're on radio, hey, you're on radio, hey, you're on radio." So,
I'm gonna hold you there. Time for a quick ad break, but before we go, if you haven't already, you still have a day to enter the at-home weekly competition. As tomorrow we announce the winner. Details are on your screen. There's a 5,000 Rand at-home e-gift card up for grabs to spend as you like. And welcome back to Real Talk on 3. I've been chatting to Kahn about his first love, which is music. So the music, you guys filled up the dome, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Casper. Maybe you guys should do a little collab, the first artist, South African artist to fill up the dome. I remember I was then, you had that backdrop that was like a balloon and
Yes,
you're
inflatable.
projecting images on it and all of that. Yeah. So did you guys do a goodbye gig? Were you like, we're out of here,
Yes.
we're going to go try this thing? In Trumpland.
Yeah, in Trumpland.
Trumpland right now.
Yeah.
Do you know, I always say, I worry when people do goodbye gigs. You know, if I had to like go overseas, I'd leave like in the night. Like, I'd tell no one. I'd be like, phew.
Nah, I know. Yeah.
Look at your face. You don't know.
Yeah.
No. In hindsight.
Hindsight,
Whew,
jeepers. That's why they
hindsight
say
is
it's 2020. Yeah.
Great teacher, hey?
Yeah.
And, okay, your manager, you are such a gentleman. Okay, because if your manager had done what she did to you guys to me, my cousins would be at his house right now. So there was a financial discrepancy, a major one. Are you allowed to talk about it, or are there legalities around us not talking about it?
No, it's not really.
Okay, then spill.
No. Well,
Reposition
there's
myself.
definitely no legalities, but I prefer not to. It's kind of.
Is it a sore spot?
No, it's just it's in the past.
It's in the past.
It's in the past, and we've moved on and in a good space.
Oh, good. Okay, we're not going to.
And I'd like to believe that there were positives in the relationship. I guess the negatives started to outweigh the positives, and that is why we, had to kind of part ways. I sound like a politician now.
I know. I'm ready to vote for office 2019.
But I mean, that's. I think any relationship will have its goods and its pros and cons, and I guess when the good days or the bad days start outweighing the good days, that's when it's time to kind of say, look, it's been a good run. And you can get stuck in a messy place trying to go, let's fix what our version of history is. Or you can say, let's just draw the line in the sand, high five.
That's quite powerful.
And move on.
That's quite powerful, because you're a much better person than me, like I said. Like, I'd still be out there flinging it out,
No,
but also, we're not going to talk about like the financial or anything, but he didn't take your talent.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's something you always brought to the table.
Exactly. And for me, money's just money.
Yeah.
It's not the ultimate reward. The ultimate reward is waking up every morning going, I love what I do.
I've got my health.
And I've got my health. And I'm surrounded by people that I love and who love me. It's, the money is just a necessity to kind of get through this thing called life.
Yeah.
The reward is, I think what's sad is a lot of people never find that thing
that's them.
that drives them. I'm very privileged to know what that thing is. And even if it wasn't my source of income, at least I found it, and I would still find time to enjoy it.
I hope people are going to rewind that and watch it. Like like you guys used to tape the Kid Guide.
Yes.
Somebody's taping it, and then they just play it to themselves over and over. So I said we're going to touch on it later. Where do the Parlotones stand now? So you're doing Kahn, which is your solo your solo thing. You also just did a song with Karen Zoid, which was quite great. Where do the Parlotones stand? Are you guys gigging? Are you going to write again? Are you going to get into the studio?
Yeah, so we're actually on a tour at the moment. It's called The Stories Behind the Songs. We've written a book called The Stories Behind the Songs, which is every song we've written.
There's a story.
Yeah, there's a kind of, it's either a quirky story, like something around the World Cup that we got to perform our shortest gig ever, which was one song. Or it's something that inspired the song, or a memory of the song on tour, or the fact that someone used it as their wedding song, kind of those. And then, so what this tour has all been about is kind of a storytelling session plus performance. And then there's a book which was meant to be ready for the tour. But
publishing?
we just typed too much. No, it's self-published. We've learned.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh my word! I wish the book was ready and you could have brought it here. Can you remember one story out of the book so that people can go out and get it when it does come out?
What is an interesting story that
Which song was a guy outside talking to a girl through the window in her room?
That was I'll Be There. So I can talk on I'll Be There.
Yes.
Most of the time when I write a song, it's kind of you just mumble words and then you kind of try and find words that fit to a context, and then you have a song. But with I'll Be There, I kind of went with a purpose. The purpose was to try and create the best or the most
romantic
appropriate
song ever.
No, a song for the first dance.
Okay.
Because often you'd be at a wedding and the song's very pretty, but it's not. I'm like, why is this your wedding song? It's like, you broke my heart. It's a beautiful song, but yeah.
To dance with my father. And you're like, but that's your husband.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense. So I was like, I'm going to try and make it like the ultimate wedding song. And that's why I'll Be There was written, and it kind of, to this day, many, many people have used it as their...
Is I'll Be There even if you're rich, even if you're poor, the song
so I kind of
is
took
forever.
the vows and yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that, Paul's daughter, the guitarist, his daughter's name is Emma. So when she was young, he would say that it was written about her, because instead of forever, he would say...
The song is for Emma. Yeah. The song is for Emma.
Yeah.
Does she know it's not?
No, now she knows. I think when she was about 8, he was like...
She's like, wait a minute. My name doesn't have a
read
V.
now.
What's that, Dad? So when you got the summer nod for your solo project, what did that mean for you?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. I mean, I didn't go in there with any expectations. It was my first attempt at a solo album, and I was in a category that normally we're in the rock category, and I was in, I think, adult contemporary or pop or something. I don't know. And so yeah, I think it was. I didn't win it or anything, but it was an acknowledgement that what I'd created,
done, keep going.
Yeah, was in the right direction and appreciated. That's all awards are really. I mean,
true.
It's not why you do it, but it's a nice tip of the hat to say you're doing a good job.
We see you.
Yes.
We see you keep going.
Yeah.
So were you not absolutely nervous the first time you had to perform as Kahn and not as the Parlotones? Because for 15 years, you used to Hodge and, everyone just behind you and Glenn. And then the next thing is like, now you're on stage by yourself and you can't hide behind anyone and you can't...
No, I was terrified. I was terrified. Well, for a number of reasons. Obviously, the chemistry that we've developed over almost 20 years, it's
cheapest.
It's irreplaceable.
It's your brothers.
And we know each other so well that we can kind of carry each other through a performance if the ones forget something or if I make a mess up. Now it was kind of, the spotlight was on me. Obviously it was new stuff that I was putting out there as
well.
So it was, not only was it the spotlight, but there was, I guess, scrutiny, or, people were going to,
obviously,
it's critique it.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you used to crit. The Parlotones were the band everybody loved to hate, but they'd sing along to, but they loved to hate you guys. So I think when it comes to crit, you see.
Yeah, we became so uncool that we became cool. It was one of those
you were like the Coldplay of South Africa. It's like, oh, Chris Martin, I hate him, and then you're out there, dun, 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 dun. You like? I thought you said you hate them. Yeah, I do, but
But not this song. This song's good.
This song's okay. This is before they sold out to the man, right? And you were also quite sick as well when you performed the first time. You had like tick bite fever or something like that.
Yeah. So that was quite a crazy period, because I was so anxious about this first show that I was about to do, and I couldn't sleep, and I'd wake up in these cold sweats, and I'd literally have to change my clothes. They put like new pajamas on, wake up in a cold sweat again. I thought, I'm just nervous
Yeah.
about the show. And then played the show, and it's kept happening for a few nights. Then went down to a Parlotones show in PE
Yeah.
with like 3 hours sleep. And then the same thing happened that night, and I was like, it must be because now my body's run down because I got so little sleep. And then I flew to Cape Town to start recording a Parlotones album. And I was just run down. And even the producer's like, do you really want to be here? I'm like, no, I just had a few sleepless nights. That night again,
Almost died.
cold sweats. And then I saw this mark on my leg, and I'm like, and then a friend of mine, he'd previously had the spider bite, where your flesh starts rotting. I'm like, oh my word, I've got that spider bite. So I quickly went to the doctor and I said, I think a spider's bitten me and my flesh is going to rot.
Let me hold you there. I want to let the thunder pass and I want to go to an air break. So hold this. So you've got a spider bite on your thigh. Hold the story there. When we come back, the story continues. You're watching Real Talk with me, Anele. For the last time, we've got Kahn Morbee, the lead singer of the Parlotones. Now, we're going to get to the voice later because I want to ask you a few questions about that. But you're telling us a story. You've got a bite in here and you're about to die and you can't breathe and you're sweating.
Yeah, no, because now I think it's that spider that eats your flesh. And I'm like, oh, I've got to get to the doctor. Eventually I do. And he immediately identifies it as, it was just tick bite fever. And then a month later, there was something wrong with my voice. I was like, it must be the tick bite fever. It must be a consequence.
Yeah.
So I go to an ENT and discover that I had polyps. And
Yes, you've got expensive diseases, eh?
yes, yeah, tell me about it. So I had to have surgery, and yeah,
Jeepers.
it was a tough few months. That.
So, so you couldn't gig, you couldn't sing, you had to go into recovery.
Yeah, but it was only 6 weeks. 6 weeks of that.
So let's go into the voice. What did you think of reality shows, singing reality shows, before you joined The Voice?
Yeah, well, you know, I think for me, I'm not a purist. So there are people that will have an opinion on a format of music or whatever that's
And then be
outside of their...
extreme about it.
Yes, yeah. So I'm... as long as there's music being performed, it all has its place. You know, obviously the type of music I write is the type of music I write, but there's... and that's just a different format. I mean, there's many there's many paths to, I guess, creating a career in music.
Yeah. I
and
like that.
There's different forms of entertainment.
Yeah.
And again, it all boils down to if you don't like it, you don't have to tune in.
Exactly.
So yeah, there were certainly aspects of those shows that I liked and I would watch. And when I did see The Voice, the American one, for the first time, I actually thought, this is a really cool show.
Me too.
If it ever came to South Africa, I'd love to be a part of it.
And then it came to South Africa and you got to be a part of it.
Yeah, so I was quite chuffed.
So, I mean, that was a big year for you, 2016, 2015, because you became a father, you got into The Voice. How has being a father, you know, added to you as a musician?
I have to be a lot more structured with my time.
True.
You know, I can't just hope that, you know, I can't spend 5 days writing a song. I'm like, okay, I've got 20 minutes.
Okay.
I'm gonna write a song. Jackson, keep that nappy tidy for now. So, yeah, I think being a father puts a lot more things in perspective. I think up until that point, you lead quite a selfish existence.
Yeah.
Where the responsibilities for yourself and, you know, obviously your partner. But now I have to think about him and his future and hopefully, you know, instilling some sort of value system in him that he can hopefully lead a successful life with.
And he's about to become a supervisor, I hear.
Who, my son?
Yes, because there's 2 more on the way.
Oh, that's right, yes. Yeah, that is correct.
Your wife's pregnant with twins.
Correct, yeah.
Boys or girls?
They're both boys.
Oh,
I wanted a girl. It would have been cool.
Yeah.
In fact, the weird thing is, even before Jackson came,
You wanted a girl.
yeah, we had all these girls' names, and then I secretly harbored wanting a boy, and that's what happened. And we were going to name her Mila.
Oh, wow.
So his middle name ended up being Milo, to kind of make up for that. And then we had all these girls' names now for the twins, and they're boys. So one of them we're just going to give a girl's name and dress in girls' clothes.
Georgina.
I mean, it's all the rage now. To have boys dressed like girls.
It's androgynous vibe.
Yeah,
It's the new thing. It's the new wave. Or you can call them Georgina, and people can call them George for short.
That's true.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And look at now, that's 3 boys, so you've got a band.
Yes.
So if you start a band with your 3 boys, we can call it the Kahns.
Yeah. You should be my strategic marketing / PR person.
I'm going to make you guys sell chicken. I hope you know that. I hope you know that. So one of our viewers sent in a question, and I absolutely loved it, so I promised that I would wrap up the show with it. At Chaos Mpila asks, what song would you love to erase from your memory so you can hear it for the first time again?
One of my own, or... no, obviously not. What I love to erase from my memory.
Sick. Can hear
It's a
it
good,
first
yeah.
time. It's a very good question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I was quite jealous that I didn't come up with it, to be fair.
Because it's, I think one of the best songs ever written to this day, but you know, it's obviously been played so much that you kind of get sick of it, is probably still Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
Because it was so fresh and interesting. It's no longer fresh and interesting because we've heard it a gazillion times.
Yeah.
But I can imagine being in that era, hearing it for the first time, going, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this wizardry that they have created?
And that's that, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I think so.
Queen.
I mean, look, you're making me think on the spot.
No, it's fine. I like it. And
That's the real problem with a reality show like The Voice, is you got all these great voices, and you've now got to go and pick one.
Is your website still Much Love Kahn?
Yes.
Exactly. People can get him there, muchlovekahn.co.za. We have unfortunately come to the end of our show. Thank you so much, Kahn, for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a treat. If you love the pieces of our set, courtesy of At Home, then do yourself a huge favor and keep entering our weekly competition so you too can kit your home out as well as we've done. Remember, if you're one of those people who were late for class, you can catch the repeat tomorrow 9 a.m. on SABC 3. From me, Anele, let's do this again, same time tomorrow, SABC 3. The stage is yours. Bye-bye.